What's going on, guys? We got a episode here that we're doing. It's a 7-on-7 style. We haven't actually done one of these in a minute, but this was from one of our friends that they asked us a question. Updog Sports Crew, great guys. If you're on any of the social media platforms, go follow them. It's Updog Sports. Like I said, they asked us this question because it was in response to the SEC announcing for 2025 that they're going to just stick to the 8-game conference, schedule instead of going to 9-game. Now, caveat, they are anticipating to go to 9-game in 2026, but they've been talking about going to 9-game for like 3 years, it seems, and they still have not done it. So I was like, I hate the 8-game conference schedule for many reasons, but I just don't think it's fair. And I was like, for me, there's got to be a way to standardize it. And the guys over there, they're like, hey, do a quick episode. Give us your thoughts. So, Trevor, that's what we're doing tonight, man.
Yeah, well, SEC, grow a pair. Stop being scared. Because that's all this is. This is fear. This is fear about the unknown. This is fear about beating themselves up even more during a conference season. But all the other conferences already played the 9-game schedule. Just go with it. Like, I understand that they want to just keep the things the way they are. And okay. So before I go all in on ripping the SEC for being a bunch of pusses, I do see the benefit. And I know Nick Saban in the past has said there is a big benefit for us to play these smaller teams. These teams are getting like $1 million. And sometimes that changes the whole trajectory of their football program just by getting that one big paycheck to play one of these big teams.
Yeah.
But really, they're just getting paid to be embarrassed on live television. Like, really, these teams embarrass the living crap out of these teams. Like 60 some odd to nothing. It's just ridiculous. It's not competitive. It's not even real football. I'm pretty sure the starters don't play more than a quarter. Like, there may be a benefit to that other program getting $1 million, but I certainly don't see the benefit in any other shape, any way other than padding the stats, padding your record, and that's really all this comes down to for SEC, especially. All they're doing is padding their stats and padding their record late in the season. See, it's different for me. If they were to put all of this that's on the back end of their schedule, because it happens towards the end of their schedule.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of them play it towards the end of their schedule. If it all happened, if they just shifted everything and put all their easy games, say 4 games instead of 3, up at the beginning of the schedule, fine. That way, they still have to run the gauntlet with no break.
Yep.
That you don't get to throw an easy game in between LSU and Ole Miss or whatever. You don't get to throw an easy one in there where you can play your second stringers and rest your first stringers. You take away that one option from all these SEC teams, it'll change everybody's tune. If that was to be the only adjustment I would say to this year, instead of having it towards the end of the season, have it all front loaded. You want to have an easy game? Fine. It's in the middle. It's at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
That would be my only contention to, if you want to keep it, fine, but make the adjustment and put it front loaded so everybody has to run a gauntlet of their conference schedule just like every other conference does.
Yeah, I'm with you on, like, I don't mind even playing FCS teams because I know there's benefits financially for them. And it does help them out for paying for other sports, more new equipment, new facilities. Totally get it. And especially when we talk about trying to make the FBS fair. Back before the BCS, I don't think it was fair. You're splitting so many national championships, all this shit. No, BCS started on the right track. And now you're in the playoff where there's a lot of people that can get into the playoffs, play for a national championship. But you see teams getting left out. You see teams, strength of schedule, but okay, yes, you play tough conference games. There's nobody saying that, but you get a bye week towards the end of the schedule, and then you get another bye week effectively and playing an FCS game. And the ACC does it too. I don't think the Big 12 as much. I know like the Big 10 doesn't.
Everything's front loaded on the Big Ten. I think the ACC.
I've noticed that sometimes that the ACC
They might
does.
throw
I
it.
feel
They
like,
might.
but
They might throw it in the end there. Yeah.
yeah. For
Either
me,
way,
yeah.
either way, I think if we're talking about standardizing it, then everybody just stick to the 3 games. Schedule it how you want, but you get 3 games, and then you run a gauntlet of the conference, and everybody has to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I mentioned that on a comment, and somebody said, "Well, the Big 10 and the SEC are far and away above the rest of these teams and conferences, and
So
they're scheduling. So why should they have to adhere to what the Big 12 is doing? Look at how easy their schedules are." I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. The SEC and the Big 10 have tough schedules, especially now.
right. And the only thing I say to that kind of comment in my eyes is that while you are technically correct, the Big 12, if you look at all the teams, there is no team that is by far and large benefiting because they're all mids. The Big 12 is full of mids, and you can't tell me one way or another that one team in the Big 12 is better, far and away better than everybody else. That just having a Big 12 schedule is easy.
Yeah,
because they'll eat each other. They're going to eat each other up this year. You watch, I guarantee you watch. There won't be a team in the Big 12 that walks out of that thing with less than 3 losses. I really don't think. I think we will have a 3-loss Big 12 champion.
It's very possible because you're looking for that head team. Now, like we know the SEC's got, elite teams like Alabama, Georgia, LSU sometimes. The Big Ten's got Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon now, Washington.
Maybe USC, if they're having a good season, you have USC as well.
Yeah, now Texas and Oklahoma are in the fold. And so, we know that the Big Ten and the SEC have the strongest schedules, and they're being deemed the Power 2. Right now we know there's a Power 4 and then there's a Group of 5. But of the Power 4, we know that the SEC and the Big Ten are the big dogs of those conferences.
And more than likely in the next 4 years, they're going to only get bigger.
Yeah, and there's a lot of changes coming up. So in my mind, it's okay, if you want to split it up, you can split it up and say, okay, maybe the Power 2, if you want to call it that, or the Big 2, they have a little bit different scheduling standard than the ACC and the Big 12, and maybe pack the ACC and the Big 12 in with the Group of 5. You guys all have the same scheduling standard. But to me, I still like what you mentioned, Trevor. The FCS games late season, I can't stand that. I don't mind playing an FCS team. I don't. So I wrote down a couple bullets. I don't know if it even work. We're just going off the things that we feel. We're just fans, man. We're just college football fans, guys. We're not trying to piss on anybody's cereal. I mean, maybe it depends on Trevor is. He said fuck the SEC. Straight up, baby.
Grow a pair and do a normal schedule like a grown person would. Like, come on now. Man. Jesus.
So I wrote bullets. I don't know if, like I said, if it would work, but we're just having fun with it. And if you don't like it, tell us why. If you do like it, retweet it, do whatever you want to do with it. I don't care. Just I want to talk football. So for me, again, it doesn't really matter. I just want the FBS to be fair. And to me, you sort it out, determine, this is all would have to be through a governing body. You can't let schools just do things. The NCAA is worthless. We all know that. That's why I wish there was a governing body, because they could also deal with this NIL and portal shit that we've all talked about, until we've beaten that horse till there's nothing left. We're just getting sprayed by pink mist. But again, if you have the governing body, sort it out. Determine if you want the Power 2 to have their own standards, compared to the Group of 5 and maybe even the Big 12 and the ACC. Say they do. Say you split it up. You start conference play, to me, week 4 and after. The first 3 weeks, I don't like conference games in the first 3 weeks. That's been a thing lately. I like Ohio State plays Indiana. There's other examples. I can't think of them off my head. But I would start that week 4. Put all the auto conference games, put that, beginning of the season. Each conference has to play 9 conference games. That way you play more people in your conference, especially with the bigger conferences. I want to see these games. You join these conferences, let's see them. You got instances where I think it's Texas A&M hasn't played Georgia, or I can't remember exactly the teams. Maybe I messed it up, but they haven't played in like 6 years, 7 years. You're like, that. What's the point of even being in the same conference? So you play 9 games, you're going to play more people in your conference. Front load the out of conference games.
Yeah, the 9 games just makes more sense. Like, especially
Agreed.
with the conferences growing the way they are.
Yep.
And honestly, I understand people's point about, oh, well, the Big Ten and the SEC are just going to destroy each other. Well, cause and effect, folks. Cause and effect. If you want to bring all these big programs in, you don't get to make an easier schedule for all of these teams. You're eventually going to have to play each other, and you are eventually going to see the effect of you wanting to grow as big as you do.
Yeah.
So that complaint or crybaby mentality doesn't fit with what these conferences are trying to do. They're trying to become big power conferences. That's great. That's awesome. It's good for the sport to see all this change a little bit. Well, maybe not so much all of it, but you got to have a bigger schedule of conference games to determine the best team in the conference to go to the championship game.
Yeah.
If you only play 8 games of a conference, but you have 15 teams in that conference, how are you possibly determining who the best 2 teams are if you aren't scheduling it? Like, I know it's all a crapshoot anyway, but
it just shakes it out more.
Yeah, it just it makes it allows you to make a better informed, like, okay, yes, these guys made it through this tough schedule. They are the best. They are one of the best teams in the conference. They go to the championship. And it really comes down to the numbers. And to have a game that late in the season be a cupcake game, pad your stats, rest some of the star players for the final 2 games of the season. That's I don't know. I like I said, I don't agree with that at all.
That's why I say
the 9 games is just stick with the 9 games. Everybody keep it the same.
I agree. And that's why I say put conference games after week 4 and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that allows, there's no room in the back end to schedule an FCS team. You're going to be in the heart of your schedule. You'll have a bye week somewhere down the line. Especially now, we've got 2 bye weeks this year. So, I mean, play your stuff early. You're out of conference. If you want to allow a team to play one FCS team, that's fine. All conferences can play Power 2, Power 4, and can play one FCS team a year. If you don't play an FCS team, then I'd say, hey, you're good. You could play just a bunch of group of 5s if you want to. If you schedule an FCS team, you got to go schedule one of the Power 2 teams. If you know you're one of the ACC, Big 12, or group of 5. There's multiple ways to do it.
At the end of the day, just make the first 3 games of the season completely up to the individual teams on how they want to schedule them. Period. If they want to schedule cupcakes, fine. But you have to live with the consequences of making a super easy non-conference schedule for yourself and your team. So, I mean, it's, pick your poison. Either, make an easy non-conference schedule, or you make it a little tougher and it looks good towards the end of the season.
Yeah. And again, to me, you had to have a governing body to do any of this, but it all boils down to 9 conference games. You can play an FCS team, but it all has to be front loaded. You cannot be playing these games in the back half of your schedule when everybody wants to see conference opponents. Because you get to week 12 and you're seeing games like LSU and Chattanooga,
the Citadel,
or VMI. One of these.
Whatever.
Like we don't. I mean, look, I'll watch the games. People watch the games, but we're in the heart of these conference schedules. We want to see that shit. Let's see it, shake it out.
Yeah. So, but like we're talking about late in the season, right? So, I mean, we're talking about trying to form an opinion on who the best teams are. Now we already know, like, I mean, we kind of already have an idea of who might or would is tracking to be in the conference championship game. But folks, that's just a few spots. That doesn't fill the entire college football playoff. We have one team coming from the group of 5. The rest will be at-large bids from other universities that maybe don't even make it to the college or conference championship.
Yeah.
So when you're playing a cupcake team, that's not a barometer for any sort of. You can pad your stats all you want, but this isn't the BCS anymore. You can't pad your stats and it affected as much as it would in the past.
Yeah, and if you want to talk strength of schedule of your conference, let's see how strong it is. Or you get a free win from playing an FCS team, late season when everybody else is struggling, with injuries or it's a conference game. These are power, 3-star, 4-star players that you're going up against.
Yep, not
play
competitive.
Out of conference early, play your FCS early, shake it out.
Yeah,
and
it's a non-conference, but it's also non-competitive.
Yeah.
And that's nothing. Nobody wants to see that, especially late in the season.
Exactly. Let's see who's the real playoff teams by playing other playoff teams or other competitive teams late season. But that's what we would do. Have some sort of governing body, 9-conference schedule for everybody in the FBS. It doesn't matter what conference you are. Play 9 games, and then have some game. Have all the out of
non-conference, and then that's it.
But
12-game season.
Yeah, that's what we would do. Give us your thoughts. We want to hear them. I think it's an interesting topic. Some people say no, they shouldn't. Just let them be how it is. 8 games is enough. We're already hard enough. If that's how you feel, that's fine. We just want to hear about it. Let us know. So shoot us a comment, text, or not text. You're not getting my number, baby. Maybe I've been drinking a little bit too much. My glass is almost empty. That's at 1792. Thanks again, Kirk, for that one. That's good stuff. But either way, we appreciate you guys. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll holler at you later. We're doing things with our fingers.
Later, guys.
Oh, did I just do that on camera?
Yeah,
we're out of here.
We're out of here.
Goodbye.